Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I am Azra Hassan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Sri Lanka to purchase 100 metric ton of oxygen per week from India. Decision to allocate 50% of available hospital beds for COVID-19 patients. Taxes were not imposed on food items including dried fish and sprats, a statement from the Ministry of Finance. Another life lost to the human-elephant conflict. People standing in line for gas, now standing in queues for kerosene oil. Afghan president says extensive consultation underway with international partners.
On to your lead story now. The Ministry of Health has decided to import 100 metric tons of oxygen per week from India.
Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi made this statement during a discussion held with media chiefs and the health sector authorities this morning. During the meeting, discussions were also held regarding the possibility of allocating 50% of all hospital beds for patients infected with COVID-19. Speaking to Newsfirst, Director of the Health Promotion Bureau, Dr. Ranjit Batuwantudawa, said that the decision can be implemented as the capacity of hospital beds has not been exceeded. All patients above the age of 60 visiting hospitals will be subjected to a rapid antigen test since they are the most vulnerable to COVID-19. Moreover, vaccination rollouts will also be expedited continuously to all those above the age of 60. The Ministry of Health has focused on increasing the number of ambulances for COVID-19 patients as the current number is insufficient. It has also been decided to issue a gazette notification on Monday, the 16th of August, to declare the health guidelines as a law, taking into account the surge in COVID-19 cases. Current COVID-19 situation. The number of daily COVID-19 deaths reported in the country exceeded 150 for the second consecutive day yesterday. When analyzing these deaths, a common factor we can observe is that many of these people who lost their lives have not been fully vaccinated. Therefore, I take this opportunity to urge everyone, especially all the elders and people with chronic diseases such as diabetes, to consult the medical officer in your area and get yourself vaccinated as soon as possible.
The vaccination drive. COVID-19 vaccination drives were carried out in several areas of the island today. Vaccination centres operated by the Sri Lanka Army were carried out in the Colombo, Gampaha, Badulla, Kilinochchi, Anuradhapura, Mullaitivu and Polonnaruwa districts. Vaccination rollout organised by the Sri Lanka Army was carried out at the Vihara Mahadevi Park today. A vaccination centre administering the first and the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine was carried out at the Kalathura National Institute of Health with the participation of a large crowd. The vaccine was administered among expectant mothers and those above the age of 60 at the Waligama Medical Office. However, a large number of people who did not fall under the required category had to leave the premises. Others are kindly requested to leave the premises as dosages are not available at this time. If there are members of families who are undergoing quarantine, they will be given the dose once they provide the quarantine certificate. Why is there a long queue like this to receive the vaccine? We must be given the dose earlier. We came here leaving jobs aside. I am unaware of how they got here. This is a misunderstanding. There aren't enough doses. The doses we have are only sufficient for the people who missed out on the vaccine drives and the expectant mothers. A large group has gathered here. I do not have the first dose.
The situation of children who contracted COVID-19. Currently, 157 children are being treated for COVID-19 at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children in Colombo. Speaking to News First, Director of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital, Dr. G. Vijaysurya, said that 2 of these children are currently being treated at the ICU facility in the hospital. He further said that the condition of one child is critical. With the number of COVID-19 patients increasing, we can observe a similar increase in the numbers of children contracting COVID-19 as well. If the patient count continues to increase, there will be an issue in allocating accommodation to these patients. Therefore, under these circumstances, we hope that patients will be more vigilant in protecting their children from the virus.
Travel restrictions in effect. Interprovincial travel was suspended for a period of 2 weeks from midnight yesterday. Interprovincial public transport has also been suspended. Although interprovincial travel is restricted, those providing essential services including health, port, airport and board of investments and designated apparel factories will be allowed to cross provincial borders. Army Commander General Shavindra Silva said that heads of both public and private institutions have been vested with the power to call their employees to report to work depending on the requirements. Meanwhile, special checkpoints were set up at provincial borders and search operations were conducted at these checkpoints through the day. Vehicles were searched at the checkpoint set up in Danovita at the border of the Western and Sabaragamu province. Vehicles travelling across the police checkpoint set up close to the Benthara Bridge at the border of the western and southern provinces were also searched. The search operations were carried out by officers attached to the Alutgama Police and the Police Special Task Force. People who travelled to the Benthara Bridge in buses were seen crossing the bridge on foot. Search operations were also conducted at the police checkpoint set up at Toppua along the border of the western and northwestern province and the Sitavaka Avisavila checkpoint set up along the border of the western and Sabaragamu provinces. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Transport Board says that bus operations during the daytime will be limited within the time. Travel restrictions are in effect. The Sri Lanka Transport Board has decided to halt all interprovincial bus services. Moreover, bus operations within provinces will be reduced as well. Health authorities have instructed us to deploy buses more than the number of employees reporting to work and signing off from work, as well as reduce the number of buses in operation during the daytime. Bus operations on expressways will also be halted. Only 50% of its employees will be called to work. As of now, close to 250 employees of the Sri Lanka Transport Board has been infected with COVID-19.
250කට පමණ කොවිඩ් ආසාදිත වෙලා තියෙනවා. අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා සඳහා අන්තර්පළාත් මේ වෙනකොට බස් කිහිපයක් ධාවනය වෙනවානේ. ඒ ධාවනය වෙන අන්තර්පළාත් ඉදිරියට ධාවනය වෙනවානේ. අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවන් සඳහා
As of now, buses have been allocated for essential services. That amount won't change. If required, we will increase the number of buses allocated for that. We had assigned regular buses for essential services, but we will not be able to operate them further.
ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The Foreign Employment Bureau announced today that all Sri Lankans who are travelling to the United Arab Emirates will be able to conduct their rapid PCR tests at the Bandaranaike International Airport from today. According to a statement released by the Foreign Employment Bureau, all those travelling to the UAE must report to the Bandaranaike International Airport 4 hours prior to departure to conduct rapid PCR tests. There was a special recommendation released by the United Arab Emirates requesting all passengers who are travelling to the United Arab Emirates to undergo a rapid PCR test before entering their country. However, this rapid PCR testing did not take place in Sri Lanka until today. But within few days of receiving this recommendation, we were able to launch a specialized lab today at the Bandaranaike International Airport for this purpose. From this point onwards, the people who are travelling to those countries can get their rapid PCR test done from this facility within an hour. This PCR test is different from a normal PCR test. We can only input 4 samples into the machine at a time. Therefore, a sum of 7,500 rupees will be charged to get a test done by this machine.
PCR පරීක්ෂණය සාමාන්‍ය PCR පරීක්ෂණයට වැඩි මේක වෙනස්.
Leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, has urged the government to impose a lockdown in the country at least for a short period of time, as per the advice of health experts. Now, Sajid Premadasa said that the lives of the people are more important than anything else.
The statement issued by the leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, states that the situation has deteriorated to such an extent where even the Government Medical Officers Association alleged that unofficial reports from hospitals have indicated that there are more than 5,000 COVID-19 cases daily and that the daily COVID-19 death toll is above 250. The statement goes on to note that since the COVID-19 outbreak began, the people of this country have acted responsibly while the government continued to act irresponsibly from the onset. The leader of the opposition said the innocent people of this country would have to suffer the tragic consequences of arbitrary decisions, adding that the government was playing with lives of the people and the disastrous results of such actions would soon be clear to all.
The mobility restrictions that were in place are getting weaker day by day. The main reason for this is the false self-esteem built within the community because of the vaccine. People thought they are completely safe after receiving the vaccine. Based on this mythical concept, travel restrictions and health guidelines were relaxed. Therefore, we urge the authorities to act at least now and take the necessary steps to protect the people of this country. New travel restrictions were not imposed yesterday. Travel restrictions were in effect during the past few days. However, they were not implemented. The remaining ones are the ones that are already in effect. The travel restrictions we expect are not implemented. Today, our capacities have exceeded. During the past few days, 20 PHIs have been infected with COVID-19.
We will be back after this short commercial break. Stay with News First, the voice of the people.
Do your online shopping with Bulletin.lk. Home delivery and pickup now available.
Bulletin.lk.
Welcome back to the news. The Ministry of Finance has issued a clarification on the special commodity levy imposed on several food items, including sprats and dried fish. Now, the statement from the ministry says that no new tax has been imposed through this Gazette notification.
The statement from the ministry said a new tax has not been imposed and added that the tax of 100 rupees per kilogram of imported sprats and dried fish was imposed since the 11th of February 2021 for a period of 6 months. The tax has been extended without any amendments as the 6-month period came to an end yesterday. In addition, the Ministry of Finance states that the one-year Gazette notification issued on the 30th of September 2020 for the import of butter, kurakkang, flour, mustard seeds and salt has been extended to protect local producers. However, some parliamentarians stated that these taxes should not have been extended considering the current economic situation within the country. Today, the government has increased the prices of goods to a point where people cannot eat a good meal. The prices of many food items have increased. Now we have serious concerns as to whether the government will take the necessary action against the middlemen who are increasing these prices. Many in the country are starving. The number of people living below the poverty line is 60%. Even the malnutrition rate in the country has increased. The government is facing huge economic pressure. While facing this, the government was forced to remove the tax imposed on milk powder. What we see here is the tax on milk powder that was removed is now imposed on sprats. However, government MPs point out that Sri Lanka is also in the midst of a global economic crisis. Global market prices have increased by 40%. Still, we are able to completely remove the taxes imposed on milk powder. Actually, we thought that by removing these taxes, prices of local milk powder would go down. But unfortunately, such a thing did not happen, although we expected it.
If the public have forgotten their civic responsibilities and are trying to fill their pockets during a crisis, what can the government do about it? One thing we need to realize is that the economically rich and strong countries as well as economically weak countries are facing a serious challenge here. We have amended our country's tax policy. What we expect from these tax reforms is to protect our local manufacturer by reducing the number of imports used by the consumers of the country and encourage the public to consume locally manufactured products. Under these circumstances, the government revenue has decreased. In the face of all of this, we have to manage it.
In an interview with CNBC, State Minister of Money and Capital Market Ajit Niwat said the utilization of underused assets will be able to rake in at least $400 million to aid the country's debt crisis.
Indeed, I believe that you've said that you're expecting around $2.65 billion in inflows over the next 3 months. Where exactly are these inflows going to be coming from?
Some are swaps. Actually, we have already worked out some swaps with the Bangladesh Bank as well as the Reserve Bank of India, and those will materialize shortly. We are also getting about $800 million from the IMF on the SDR facility. That has been the new allocations that have been done. We are also having a new area that we are looking at new inflows to the country, which is the utilization of underutilized assets. There are quite a number of Sri Lankan assets that we have not been able to use to generate inflows. But now we are very effectively attending to that. And I'm sure that we will be able to rake in at least $400 million. And if we are on the right track on that, we'll probably be able to even realize about $1 billion.
Long queues of customers waiting to purchase kerosene oil were seen in several areas in Colombo today.
Queues of people lined up to purchase kerosene oil were seen in Orugodavatta and Piliyandala.
පැය 4කට වැඩි. දැන් ළඟට යනකොට නෑයි කිව්වනම් අපි ඇත්තටම ඉවරයි. පවුල් පිටින්ම ඉවරයි.
මේම අපි පොලිමේ ඉඳලා තමයි අපිට ඒ කොරෝනා කියලා කියනවා අයින් වෙලා ඉන්න කියලා. දැන් අයින් වෙලා ඉන්න වගේද තින්න තවත් වැඩි වෙයි කොරෝනා.
Following repeated requests to increase gas prices, the government recently granted approval to the Lavs Gas Company to increase the price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder by 363 rupees.
එක පැත්තකින් කියනවා
On the one hand, they are saying that although Lavs Gas was allowed to increase their prices, they will not allow for the prices of litro gas cylinders to be increased. They have not increased the price, but they have reduced the weight. So when the weight is decreasing, do they really have to increase the price? The newest strategy of the government is to increase prices when companies demand for it.
මිල වැඩි කරන එක තමයි දැන් ආණ්ඩුවේ අලුත්ම උපාය මාර්ගය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
When will the Lavs Gas shortage in the market end? Chairman of Lavs Gas, WKH Vagapitiya, said that a Lavs Gas ship will dock at the Hambantota port on the 19th of this month.
The failure to construct a sewage system has left a mortuary constructed years ago in an unstable state. This matter was revealed after representatives of the Sinhala visited the premises in question.
This mortuary is located in close proximity to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital.
බිල්ඩින් එකක් වහගෙන තියෙනවා.
බිල්ඩින් මේක වැඩ තියෙනවා.
ඒක තමයි වැඩ ඉක්මනට කරලා ඔය තමයි ඔය ගන්න බලන්න. ස්ටෝරේජ් සිස්ටම් එක තාම නැහැ හදලා. ආන්න ඒක තමයි ඒක ඉක්මනට හදා ගන්න ඕනේ.
ඔක හදන්න පැයක් යනවද මේ? ඉස්පිරිතාලේ පැය 24න් හදනවා නම් මේ ඩැනේජ් ලයින් එක හදන්න දවසක් යනවද?
ඉතින් අරගෙන හෙන්ඩුව නැහැ වගේ. මේක හදලා ඉවරලා ඩැනේජ් ලයින් හදන්න දැන්.
Although an official who arrived at the scene assured that the relevant officers will be informed of the situation, she did not return.
මේ මොකද ඩැනේජ් සිස්ටම් එකේ මොකක්ද එකක් තියෙනවද? ඒකත් හදලා ඉවර වෙලා දවස් දෙක තුනක කරගන්න පුළුවන් නේ. දෙල්ලි වල මේක වහාම මේ කොරෝනා රෝගීන් සඳහා මේක නිකුත් කරන්න.
A tense situation arose after security officers at the location refused permission for those present there to inspect the building.
The construction of this building began in 2005. What is the reason for them to construct buildings like this and leave them closed? What a waste. These buildings are constructed from the taxes that the people pay for sugar, milk powder and gas. The loans for these constructions are paid using that money. If those people don't benefit from this, what is the use? We inquired on the matter from the director of the project, Dr. Priyantha Atapattu. He said that the project in question is carried out by funds received from Germany. Dr. Priyantha Atapattu further added that the construction of the building is scheduled to conclude in November, and using the building as a COVID-19 ward could be a possible violation of the agreement with the other party.
An online petition was signed today demanding the government to provide solutions to the salary anomalies of teachers and principals.
Secretary to the Ceylon Teachers Service Union, Joseph Stalin, said the petition was launched today. Do not drag this any further with this pandemic. The government has not stopped their scams under the guise of COVID-19. The government is doing what they want. Sugar that is being brought down at a tax rate of 25 cents is being held at the port until the price of sugar in the market increases to 150 rupees and then the stocks are released. They are lining the pockets of their allies with billions of rupees in pure profit. During the past 5 years, the service of protecting weapons on board ships brought the Navy an income of 6 to 7 billion a year in dollars. Today, they are taxing kottamalli and dal. Prices of gas are being increased. They are burdening the people and sending the money that should come into the treasury into the pockets of their friends. So we would like to inform the government that the people are aware of this. If the government does not provide a proper solution to this issue, at the end of COVID-19, this government will have nowhere to go. The teachers, parents and all trade unions will take to the streets together. The government is clearly attempting to drag these issues of teachers and principals instead of providing them with a proper solution. They have appointed ministerial subcommittees without a deadline and are continuing to procrastinate. We will not allow that to happen. The government only needs about 65 billion rupees to provide a solution to the issues of teachers and principals. But the government gave tax concessions and reduced the VAT for the benefit of their friends and lost 650 billion rupees in tax revenue. They deprived the state treasury of 16 billion rupees to the tax concessions for the import of sugar. Our question to the government is, if you can do this, why can't you provide a solution to our issues?
එහෙම කරන ආණ්ඩුවකට ඇයි මේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න බැරි කියන කාර්යය තමයි අපි අහන්නේ. කොවිඩ් පෙන්න
Do not continue to bring COVID-19 to the fore and say that this is not the time for this struggle. This is the right time for the government to acquire buildings worth millions. This is also the time for the government to give tax concessions to their friends. This is the time for the government to give their friends and allies various perks and privileges. But when it comes to solving the issues of teachers and principals, the government is bringing COVID-19 to the fore and saying that this is not the time. Don't do this. Do not try to evade this issue. We would like to inform the government that you had enough of time to solve this. Stop appointing committees to delay this. Provide a solution to this issue immediately.
Police media spokesperson Senior DIG Ajit Rohana said the Colombo Crimes Division arrested a former officer of the Sri Lanka Air Force for threatening to attack an institution in Colombo.
An officer of Foreign International Relations Institution situated in Colombo has made a complaint at Kolpiti Police Station on information about an attack on the same institution. Complaint has been made by an officer of the institution. Accordingly, Kolpiti Police has initiated investigation and the investigation has been taken charge by Colombo Crimes Division. Having conducted investigation, Colombo Crimes Division has arrested a person, a permanent resident of Hindagala in Kandy area and a temporary resident of Panagoda area. The person has been identified as one Kirti Ratnayaka, an ex-officer of Sri Lanka Air Force. CCD and Kolpiti Police are conducting further investigations.
For the second year running, Gamadda Sri Lanka partnered with the Clinton School of Public Service at the University of Arkansas in the United States to complete a research program as part of the Internal Public Services Project Initiative.
Graduate students Rodrigo E. Santos Legaspi and Lane Coleman were selected for the 2021 study program. Rodrigo's research was based on elevating education during the next decade in Sri Lanka, while Lane researched the topic of uplifting the livelihoods of women combating period poverty.
Often, young girls both lack knowledge on how to best handle their menstrual cycle as well as possess sanitary health materials. These obstacles often lead women to miss school and or fall behind academically. Through best practice research, I worked with Gamada to create a program plan that provides sanitary materials to girls in rural schools as well as provide educational sessions on proper menstrual hygiene management.
This summer, I had the opportunity of working with Gamada on a project based on elevating education during the next decade, where I had the chance to study the current education system of Sri Lanka and provide recommendations for future improvement during the next 10 years.
Gamada is Sri Lanka's largest grassroots movement, while the Clinton School is amongst America's premier public service university faculties.
The human-elephant conflict is not something new to many villagers in Sri Lanka. Either elephants encroach into villages or human settlements encroach on the habitats of elephants. More often than not, these encounters between man and beast end in death and misery.
An elephant was cornered at a shrubland in Udapur Chilau since this morning. The villagers in the area tried everything they can to chase the elephant into the forest. The efforts of wildlife officers together with the villagers to chase away this elephant since last morning were unsuccessful. This elephant had attacked a person and damaged a vehicle last night. The victim of the attack is currently receiving treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. The elephant has already damaged many plantations and houses in the area. Just like humans, elephants are also victims of this prolonged conflict. Wildlife officers, together with the police and area residents, embarked on the daunting task of rescuing an elephant calf that had fallen into a well in Moragalla Mahava, Kurunegala. Many people had arrived at the scene to witness this rescue operation. When the rescued elephant was being chased away into the forest reserve, a man in the vicinity tripped and fell down. This man was attacked and killed by the elephant. The deceased was a 53-year-old resident of Muragolla.
Pakistan is celebrating its 75th year of independence with commemorative ceremonies held in cities across the country. In Sri Lanka, a ceremony to commemorate the day was held in Colombo today.
The ceremony was held at the Pakistan High Commission office in Sri Lanka. The event was held under the auspices of High Commissioner of Pakistan, retired Major General Muhammad Saad.
Here in Sri Lanka, we at the Pakistan High Commission have endeavored to ensure that there is ethnic harmony in all among all the communities. We have tried to play our positive role in ensuring that there is ethnic harmony in the country. Both countries are sailing in the same boat. Every now and then that you come across a news that a church or a temple has been attacked, let me tell you without any hesitation that no Pakistani has anything to do with these acts. It is actually the paid element of the foreign intelligence agency. It is because of their money that few disgruntled elements are bought, purchased and made to execute those type of acts that bring bad name to our country. The state of Pakistan and the common man of Pakistan has nothing to do with those type of elements.
A major earthquake struck western Haiti, sending shock waves across the Caribbean, where people fled their homes for fear that buildings might collapse and sparking a regional tsunami warning. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has addressed the Afghan people after keeping largely silent on the Taliban, taking more than 18 of the nation's 34 provinces in 8 days. The 142nd Royal Thomond cricket encounter, commonly known as the Battle of the Blues, which was scheduled to be played from the 9th to the 11th of September 2021, has been postponed.
The encounter was postponed earlier this year from its previous scheduled dates of 6th and 8th of May, and the organising committee subsequently decided to play the encounter from the 9th to the 11th of September. However, in view of the health crisis Sri Lanka is facing at present, the organisers have decided to once again postpone the Blue Ribbon encounter. The 142nd Battle of the Blues was scheduled to be held behind closed doors in Suryavava, Hambantota.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I am Azra Hassan with our sign language interpreter for tonight, Brian D. Cruz. Take care and good night.